A group of Ontario businesses is calling on the Ontario government to lift its COVID-19 restrictions, saying they aren't working and, in fact, maybe making things worse. The group includes executives from Hudson's Bay, Canadian Tire, and IKEA. They've written the Premier asking for all stores to reopen with a 25% capacity limit on non-essential stores. They argue lockdowns in Toronto and Peel region haven't reduced the number of people shopping, but rather funneled those shoppers into fewer, more crowded stores. Indigo is also one of the companies that signed the letter, and Indigo founder and CEO Heather Reisman joins me now. Heather, good to see you.
Great.
I know it's been a tough time for you and your company. Tell me a bit more about this letter and what your main concerns are.
Well, the letter was signed by retailers of all sizes, so lots of small retailers and large ones. And basically, the point you made at the beginning is the very point we're trying to make. One, there is no evidence that retail stores are the place where spreading happens. Your lead-in story about super spreader event. The government's, that was a super spreader event. Retail has not proven to be a super spreader or a spreader environment. In fact, the government's own data says that between 0.3 and 0.9% of any cases have ever been tracked to retail. So we respect the government's view of wanting to keep people healthy, so do we, but this decision just doesn't seem to be one that will impact that change. And in fact, it could even be making matters worse because it's funneling shoppers into fewer and fewer places, which means longer lineups to get in, longer ways, longer times where you have to cluster, as opposed to creating more physical space available so you can spread the number of places where people can go.
Well, the timing plays a factor here too, doesn't it, Heather? Just ahead of the holidays. I can't imagine the hit businesses are taking right now.
I mean, it's almost, impossible to describe. For some businesses, this is their entire year, even when we would not have been shut down for 3 months, almost 3 months at the beginning. And there's something else, Jennifer. Not only have very, very few cases been tracked to retail, we, of all the 50 people who signed, we shared our data. You're literally talking about a handful of cases per retailer over 9 months. So there is no indication, and it is quite unfair to do it at this time of year. So what we were suggesting is even further constrain us in terms of how many, but give us some opportunity. And I think you know that retailers have taken extreme precautions and invested for this period, heavily invested to ensure that there was such safety for our staff and our customers. So this is, it is existent. For many businesses, this is existential. It is existential. We need the government to understand that we want to play in the safety game.
Why do you think then the government chose that route? And what kind of response have you had from the government, if anything at all, to your proposals?
Well, we're waiting and we're hopeful. I understand that the Premier feels that he is under pressure from health people to do things. But frankly, it's very hard to reconcile the data, the actual data, with the decision that was made. And so we're respectful. And I want to make that point. We want people to be safe. We have been operating for months, keeping our people safe, all of us. So we want him to understand that this is existential. And, Jennifer, I would share one other thing. Not only is this the most important period, and it is a bit unfair when you look at the list of some of the people who are allowed to be open and not. It's a bit odd where the line has been drawn. I would even say a bit unfair. But I want to say the bigger issue is on the health side. If you spread the physical space that people can go to, you can help the health issue, and that's consistent with the data.
Okay.
And by the way, in a few days, even online will not exist. People will not be able to be guaranteed their things. So you create even more pressure on these businesses.
Heather Reisman, I need to leave it there. I do appreciate your time, and thank you for coming on and speaking with us. Heather Reisman, Indigo founder and CEO. Thanks again.